Hi guys. Welcome to my channel. Today I shall summarize the film Sumuru. Made available in 2003. Two Earthling astronauts, Adam and Jake, are seen on their spacecraft in the year 2800. They are en route to the planet Antares, which is reported to host a big human community. It turns out that a lethal virus has rendered all women on Earth sterile, leaving the two astronauts as humanity's sole remaining chance. Their job is to travel to Antares, locate ladies, and persuade them to come to Earth. As the spacecraft approaches Antares, it suddenly becomes unstable owing to the planet's peculiar gravitational attraction. Adam and Jake do their hardest to retake control of the spacecraft, and they succeed to some degree, but the ship still crashes to the surface. Both astronauts incur minor injuries, with Jake suffering the most. Adam immediately leads him out of the building before the smoke suffocates them. Afterwards, an aerial view of the planet Antares is shown. It is a desolate wasteland dominated by enormous rock formations and devoid of flora. Adam performs surgery on Jake's wounds and injects him with a futuristic syringe that immediately cures him. Suddenly, a dog's bark can be heard throughout their conversation. They had previously assumed that life on the planet was only a rumor, but after hearing the bark, they have newfound drive, and Adam begins to pursue the sound. After a period of aimless roaming, he encounters a youngster who seems primitive and is holding his dog with a distressed expression. Adam attempts to approach him, but the terrified youngster replies, "The snakeheads are close and flees." A few minutes later, he is abducted by the snakeheads, who seem to be women dressed in rudimentary military attire. They immediately knock the child unconscious and seize him, while his dog flees. Adam, on the other hand, is exploring the peculiar location when he is shaken by a big earthquake. Fearful, he instantly contacts Jake via his high-tech watch and requests a geoscan of the region. Adam then travels farther into the wilderness until he encounters a massive temple. He enters clandestinely and is shocked to see a huge number of ladies inside. It turns out that women dominate everything on this planet, while males are forced to become slaves and a few are employed for procreation. Within the temple, it seems like the ladies are reciting prayers to their serpent lord. Now, we learn that the religious ladies are members of a cult headed by the courageous Taxon. The Snake King then emerges from the earth, which is a monstrous cobra. We are subsequently presented to Sumuru, the queen of planet Antares, who seems unimpressed by the cult's accomplishments. In the meanwhile, the youngster from before is brought into the room. Taxon explains, to Adam's amazement and horror, that the kid is soon to be sacrificed to the Snake King. Hearing this, the boy's sister Dove, one of the queen's troops, begins battling with members of Taxon's cult. It is revealed here that the ladies inside the temple are split into two groups, one of which works for Taxon and the other of which follows the queen. While everyone watches, Dove continues to battle alone, and the Snake Lord suddenly swoops down and devours one of the cult members. An outraged Taxon orders her women to grab Dove, but the queen prevents them, stating that it was self-defense. The two leaders are on the verge of a confrontation when Adam, who had been hiding in a corner, receives a call from a buddy, which alarms everyone in the room. Adam takes one of his high-powered firearms to create a distraction and flees as Taxon tells her troops to pursue him. Amid the turmoil, Will, the little child, also manages to flee the temple. Adam and the youngster eventually catch up and board the spacecraft to flee the planet. But, before Adam can enter, one of Taxon's ladies shoots him in the leg. Yet, with the assistance of Jake and the youngster, he is able to enter the spacecraft, but the arrow looks to be poisonous, leading him to lose consciousness gradually. Outside, the queen appears with her own troops and orders the cultists to go. They first refuse to obey, stating that it is completely lawful for women to murder males. But, when Sumuru proclaims that she is the queen and has authority over everything, they grudgingly depart. The queen then enters the spacecraft and faces the aliens. She then extracts an anti-venom and administers it to Adam, saving his life. Adam and Jake are transported to the queen's home in the next scene, where they are able to meet secretly. Jake tells that prior geoscans he did reveal that the Earth is dying, which explains why there are so many earthquakes. The planet has a maximum of 2 months until it self-destructs. Adam is later brought to the Queen's room for questioning. He identifies himself and indicates that he is from Earth. In addition, he asserts that the inhabitants of Antares are descendants of Earthlings who were dispatched on a terraforming mission 1,000 years ago. They published their results frequently for the first century, but discontinued all contact afterwards. They did not attempt to discover anything about their people in Antares since the planet had also experienced a bloody conflict. The Queen is stunned upon hearing this, but she accepts the allegation since their folklore includes the planet Earth. As their conversation continues, the subject of snake cult is brought up. Queen Sumuru says that as a result of the repeated earthquakes, The populace resorted to religion, paving the way for Taxon's ascent to power. She hails from an exceedingly aristocratic family and felt she was meant to become queen, but she was not elected by the people. This is why she has been amassing cult members, so that one day she may ascend to the throne. About the enormous cobra, it suddenly arrived from nowhere. Adam, stunned by the disclosures, attempts to explain that the earth is dying and everyone must escape immediately, but the queen refuses to listen to a man. Instead, she begins discussing why men dominate in society. She says that, eons ago, the guys caused a massive flash of light that murdered a significant number of people. Since then, women have seized control of the country, and it is permissible to execute recalcitrant males. Sometime afterwards, the queen guides Adam to an ancient mine where all the men are laboring. According to the queen, males are used as slaves, sacrifices, and sometimes for reproduction. Adam finds the scene revolting, but when he attempts to express his distaste, he is pummeling and dragged away. However, Taxon's gang attacks the guards as they accompany him back to the queen's home. Adam is captured after the renowned cult members slaughter all of the queen's guards. Dove is sadly among the fatalities. Will comes to assist her as she breathes her last, but it is too late. Adam is carried to Taxon's apartments, where the Queen of Serpents invites him to join their cause. She even passionately kisses him to get him to join her squad. Yet, Adam, being the intelligent man that he is, immediately declines. Before Adam can be injured, the Queen, Jake, and Will, dressed as guards, rush to his aid. Taxon attempts to defend herself, but the Queen knocks her unconscious with a single blow before fleeing. On their journey out of the tunnels, the astronauts debate the planet's condition, and Jake admits that they have less time than he first estimated. Recent estimates indicate that Antares may explode within a few days. The Queen overhears their chat and produces her locket, which contains a unique component. It turns out that the element is collected from the burn zone, the exact location where the spacecraft from Earth landed 1,000 years ago. The astronauts get ecstatic at hearing this, since if they can reach the location and restart the spacecraft, they can return to Earth. Together, they begin moving towards the burn zone, with the Queen's assistance. Along the journey, they dodge a number of Taxon's thugs and also manage to release a number of prisoners. After they reach the outdoors, Queen Sumuru informs the astronauts that they still have many kilometers to walk since the burn zone is situated behind a big hill. Jake and Adam decide to continue their trek despite the obstacles and the gang of serpents pursuing them. Soon afterwards, Adam attempts to persuade the Queen to join them, emphasizing that it is much safer on Earth's surface. She gently rejects, explaining that she does not reign over the people, but rather serves them. Suddenly, a tremendous earthquake strikes, causing the gang to fall to the ground. Jake concludes from this that the planet's impending destruction is imminent. As Jake analyzes the man's skeleton, he discovers that he died around 900 years ago, the same year humanity arrived on Antares. Upon further investigation, he discovers that the majority of the guys killed as a result of a solar explosion. Hearing this, the Queen understands that their ancestors seen the same flash of light decades before. As the source of the light was natural, the guys were in fact innocent. Hence, their religion, which taught that men are harmful and bad, was based on a falsehood for all these years. The Queen is devastated by the discovery, but the guys urge her to keep going since time is running out. In the next scene, the gang ultimately exits the burn zone, which looks to be a vast space dome. Jake and Will attempt to restart the engine from the control room, while Adam and the Queen engineer the controls in another chamber. After much effort, the astronauts are able to reignite the engine, but Taxon and her thugs have already arrived. Adam, using his high-tech devices, manages to detonate the majority of the Wicked Ladies during the ensuing bloody conflict. Now that only Taxon remains, she dares the Queen to a fair one-on-one battle, and the latter accepts. Initially, the two are well matched, but the Queen quickly wins the upper hand with her excellent battle tactics. The wicked Taxon, realizing that she is likely to lose, pulls out a knife and leaps forward in an assault, but the Queen again effortlessly defends herself. After thrashing the Snake Queen for some time, she electrocutes her to death by throwing her against a generator. However, the tenacious Taxon refuses to surrender, and she attacks the Queen with her knife, but this time, Adam shoots at her and kills her for good. Jake has successfully started the spacecraft in the control room, and it is now ready for launch. The Queen chooses to accompany Jake, Adam, and Will on their voyage to Earth after realizing that males are not responsible for any of the crimes on Antares and that the planet is dying. The spacecraft will soon lift off and fly into the skies. All the inhabitants of Antares, including the males, the Queen's troops, and even members of Taxon's cult, look in wonder at the enormous spacecraft. Upon seeing that they are without their commander, Adam feels sorry for them and advises that they bring all 500 of them onto the spacecraft, which has plenty capacity for them. Jake attempts to convince Adam and the Queen that the powerful earthquakes would destroy the ship, but they are ready to take a risk. Jake has no option but to comply with the commands and begin lowering the spacecraft. As soon as they reach the surface, the inhabitants are awed by the massive structure they previously referred to as the burn zone. The Queen Sumuru walks outside and commands everyone to board the ship, stating that their world is soon to perish and that they are thus traveling to a distant planet. There will be no gender, racial, or religious difference among the planet's population. Hearing this, the populace becomes enthusiastic and instantly boards the ship. Yet, before Jake and Adam can drive the spacecraft away from the planet, a tremendous earthquake shakes the whole population. As they peek outside, they see a monstrous snake attacking one of the ship's propellers. Adam instructs Jake to put maximum thrust to the propeller as time runs out. Thankfully, as soon as he accomplishes this, the snake retreats due to the flames emitted by the propeller. With this, the spacecraft finally departs the planet Antares for all time. In the closing scene, a lady enters the control room and returns Will's missing puppy to him. The dog was apparently rescued by the lady, who also concealed it from Taxon. The film concludes with everyone in the control room playing with the puppy as the spacecraft returns to Earth.